Welcome to the Pedal Collaborative podcast. We're so glad you're here.
Hey everybody, we are back another week of the Pedal Collaborative podcast. It's Paul. I'm here with Alan.
Hey.
And this week, I think we teased this before the holidays in its rough form and function, but we have a special guest. We have Mike Nicosia from the Relic Music Shop in Red Bank, New Jersey. How's it going, Mike?
Hey guys, how are you? Thanks for having me. I don't know how special I'm going to be, but I'll definitely be a guest for sure.
Well, you were very special. We'll talk about why you're special here in a sec, but we're going to be doing a format here today that we wanted to have Mike on because Mike has an awesome shop. For those of you who don't know about it, we're definitely going to link to that and give you a chance at the end, Mike, to plug anything you guys have going on here coming up. But because of the unique position Mike has as a owner of a very cool shop that has very cool gear that people that listen to this podcast will definitely be into, and you've definitely seen. We're doing an award. It's award season. So we are doing our awards for 2024 for guitar pedals. We had to trim it. I actually trimmed it down quite a bit because I think this episode would have been like 2 hours if I kept all the categories in.
It still might be. Who knows?
I know. We might see. We'll see where we go. But we're going to get into it. Mike, you want to talk a little bit about the shop and yourself before we get into the categories here, though?
Yeah, I'll keep it as brief as possible. I'm, I grew up obsessed with this stuff like anybody else. And I kind of got back into it from a business perspective when I got a part-time job at another shop while my ex was writing her dissertation. So I ended up, only wanting to do it for a year. I stayed for 2.5. Then I ended up running the place after that. And then after I did that for a little while, I decided, I've always wanted to open my own shop, and now's the time. So the shop's been open since October 2021. It took me less than 10 months to get from deciding I was going to do it to opening, which I'm pretty proud of, especially considering if anybody out there listening has ever been there and has seen it or seen any of the pictures online. One of the, biggest things we get compliments on is how we have everything laid out and how everything looks. And then we get one of two reactions. It's either, can we curse on this or no? I'll keep it as clean as possible.
No, you can
I'm just quoting people. It's either, I don't know what any of this is, or holy shit, I can't believe you guys have this. Because there's plenty of stores that do the big box stuff, and a lot of that's cool if that's what you're into. I find myself more into these smaller builders these days, not just from a pedal perspective, because we do have pedal companies that literally nobody else has. But, the built guitars of the world, Frank Brothers, Castadosa, Dunnable, Abernathy, Fano, Nash, all those are companies that we are dealers for at our shop. And, I just wanted to do something a little different. I wanted to have a nice space where not only is the inventory awesome, but people are comfortable, people from all walks of life. We don't want anybody being intimidated or feeling like there's any stupid questions, 100% acceptance, tolerance, whatever your skill level, knowledge level, we don't, no judgment. And all we want to do is teach and spread the good word of the good gear and stuff, and tell you guys about these brands where, frankly, and I say this all the time, buying something from one of these guitar companies or one of the pedal companies means so much more to the people that own them than if you bought something from a big box guitar company. Yeah. Buying something from one of those guys, you're just a number on a spreadsheet or a line item. When you buy, a Dunnable or a Built or a slowly melting from Dirge or an RM1N from Industrial Electric, these are small 1 person to 4 people operations, and it makes their day and it makes their year. So I'm in this for relationships, and I'm in this just because I have a genuine obsession and love with it. So, I've lived it my whole life, and I'm basically living, in a dream come true scenario where I was fortunate that I was able to do this and that we do continue to be able to do this.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. And I mean, I can see just even the way you run your social media channel. It's clear you love the stuff. You love sharing it with others. I mean, that's what we do too. That's Alan and I have joked many times while talking about this podcast and the channel. This is just because this is conversations we were having already with people, and now we just professionalized it a little bit.
You mean you guys aren't getting rich doing this?
Yeah, shockingly, no.
me either. Ironically, wow. I wonder what's the issue there. What's going on?
For the love of the game, I will say before we get into pedals, though, there is a guitar. I have not wanted a guitar for a while. I'm very happy with my guitars. I've had some of my guitars for like 15 years. That Fano JM6 and Burgundy Mist you have right now, I saw that on your listing the other day with the sale you guys have going, and that one tempted me a bit.
So let me tell you something about those guys real quick. They are unbelievable. So they're big in the news right now because, you know, them and Novo had their merger, which I think is great for both sides. But every single guitar we've gotten from Fano has been exceptional, like crazy. The only reason why that one is hung around, every time we get one, it sells within 2 weeks because they're that good. I messed that one up, and I'll tell you how. In my opinion, I had it conceptualized with a different set of pickups at first. They couldn't get the pickups, so we went with the Zoomtrons, which I love. Now, that's not how I messed it up. How I messed it up, in my opinion, is this. Typically, folks who want JM shapes in that finish are going to want a trim. Folks who want JM shapes with a tunematic and a stop tail tend to stay away from ostentatious colors like that, your Burgundy Mist, your Shell Pinks, which I personally love. Now, here's the other thing. I already have a Burgundy Mist JM. Otherwise, that would have come home with me a long time ago. But yeah, that one, and I'm not like, you know, I'm not saying everybody go buy it, but it's truly an exceptional guitar. And I just want to, those guys offered to even take it back and do something different for us because we're not used to having those guitars like hang around for more than a month. It's like crazy. It's not because the guitar is no good. It's because it takes it fits a very specific small kind of niche, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
That guy that person that wants that color JM with a tunematic and a stop tail.
So I think you're saying Paul.
Yeah, it's literally describing.
It's
like
literally for Paul. Yeah.
When I saw it, I was like, oh man. So we'll see if I get tempted again. But all right.
Road trip out to
we're
Red
heading
Bank.
out. But all right, so let's get into this. My goal here, and I'll explain the format for everybody who's listening, is we're going to go category by category. Each of us is going to present our choice because I was like, I could come up with a bunch of nominees, but that would also elongate our time on these. And then we'll kind of briefly sort of make our pitch for each one, and then we'll all pick a winner because I already know something Alan said earlier. I was like, I didn't think about that one for this category, so I'm excited. Like, my choice. So
I'm excited. I feel like Mike is going to throw out some brands that I will be embarrassed to not have ever heard of, and that's super exciting.
And that's the reason we want that. We want that on this podcast.
Yeah.
I want more pedals.
I'm glad you guys kind of told me this year because, like, it really helps me. You know, I could talk about this for 6 weeks if it's just like a free for all. You know, so the guidelines really going to help me stay on task and stay on, topic, I guess. So
yeah, I suspect, Mike, we're going to have you on again, just talking about pedals.
Anytime.
A blast. So
anytime.
All right, so let's get into it. I'm going to start with our first category, and our first category for our pedals of the year of 2024 is our best supporting overdrive for outstanding achievement in low to medium gain. So, Mike, I'll let you present first, then we'll go Alan, and then I'll go third.
Mine's going to be a little controversial because it can sort of go past the low gain stage, but it does the low medium gain really well in addition to more. And you're starting with controversial, like you're just I know
jumping
what's going to happen. The Electronic Audio Experiment Science Mother preamp. And that came out very early. I had to go back and look to make sure. It came out January 9th of 2024. And everybody forgets about it because you can't find them. Like, we get them in 2s and 3s, and then they go. Like, I don't even own one because we get them and they sell so fast. But that one is like, it's a really great preamp channel of a Science Mother. It's a great always on, but it can get into that medium to borderline higher gain territory. But for the low gain stuff, that like dirtyish clean, it's unbelievable.
Really like that choice. I've not gotten my hands on that one yet, which, as you said, Mike, all EAE stuff is hard to, but I've watched quite a few demos of it, and it sounds phenomenal. So
it makes me want to Science Mother amp. Actually, it's that good.
Yep. All right, Alan, what are you putting in here?
Okay, so on this one, I'm going to go with the Nordvang Altitude.
Ooh, that's
which
a really
is
good
their
choice.
little like blues breaker, their small pedal blues breaker style.
Yes,
nice. I haven't had the chance to play that one yet. We're not a dealer for those guys, but I've had a few things in used, and the stuff I've had in used, the build quality and the sound has always been pretty damn good. So I'll have to check that one out.
Let me see. Mike, can you see me on camera?
I can, yes.
Okay. This is the thing. Let me go back to this. Everybody else who can't see me, the inside of the pedal, it is insane.
It's clean. You could eat off
clean,
of it.
But these parts, like you could totally eat off it. Like the components he uses are just incredible. So anyway,
I just was at the NAMM show and the Woodwire Vault show and the Windsor Browns thing, and R2R Electric was there. I don't know if you ever heard of him, but he does incredible treble boosters, range master stuff, and like NOS tone bender stuff. He has similar, all new old stock components, but the coolest thing I saw that he did was all the pedals were open, and on the inside of the pedal, the tray, how people write like clever sayings, funny things, whatever. He literally had the ingredient list on there, which was like super fun.
Yeah, I'm looking at the treble booster right now, the guts of it on his website. It's insane. Yeah,
it's awesome.
Awesome,
right,
Alan.
Paul.
Very good selection. It's cool. I will say too, it's funny on this list. Mike mentioned it, having to figure out what came out in 2024, because 2024 actually felt like 5 years ago now. That
oh my god, January. This January feels like it's taken 3 years.
Yeah. I was like, what came out? And then all right. So my submission was, and this is admittedly recency bias because I just got this pedal and I've been really loving it, but I will say it sounds great. I did the 1981 Inventions DRV Mod 1. Which has actually led to now a full new version of that pedal called the DRV2. And what I like about it is it's a rat, which normally I don't like rats, and I find them actually more high gain. The Mod 1 has two cool things. It has a zero gain mode where if you turn the drive all the way down, the other two knobs work. It's just a really nice preamp and adds some grit and warmth. Two, because of the name Mod 1, it comes with actually two additional op amps that if you take the back of the pedal off, you can flip them out for different sounds.
Interesting. Nice.
As a noodler, that was for me really cool. And then I've just been really loving how it fits in with different drive pedals. It hits that low to medium in a way that normal rats are just like, nasally, throaty. They have the rat thing. So that's my selection.
Well, the stackable thing for these is pretty important, right? People think about that stuff all the time. How does it stack with others? And, I know I've played plenty of those 1981s. Again, I don't have too much experience with Nordvang one, but both, the Science and that one stacks pretty damn well. So
cool. So I'm going to actually make a decision on the fly, and I'm saying it on the podcast. Since we're just all presenting items, we should let our audience vote on which one they want.
Love it.
Because we're not going to come to a consensus. We're just coming up with cool stuff. So, all right.
My answers are right. That's the consensus.
Yeah,
my
Alan,
answers
you're right.
are
Okay.
right.
So, all right. Those are our nominees for Best Supporting Overdrive. We will announce them on the next episode about who wins the vote. We'll figure that out. Alan will do this. I just, lifetime idea. I love when we do this on the podcast where people hear the behind the scenes ideas. All right. Next is we're going up in gain. We're going to the Best Leading Distortion for excellence in high gain territories. So, Mike, you are up first again. What do you have on this side of things?
Well, you're probably not going to like this given what you just said, but I actually have, and again, we'll get a little controversial because I can't pick. I have two. It's a dead heat for me, and that's between the Caroline Wave Cannon Zero and the Jam Rattler MK2. Let's talk about the Rattler first. Obviously based in that rat world, right? However, this is based on the original vintage rat. I don't know if you guys know a lot about jam pedals, but they're not doing anything in terms of like granular synthesis or time stretching or anything crazy like that. They just make really, really incredible analog pedals. They couldn't find a chip, a transistor they liked enough to use to make these. They made their own.
Oh.
So if you guys ever have occasion to listen to it, it's one of with the, I've only heard a handful of vintage original Rats in my time. We can't keep these in stock because it sounds so good, and it has the 2 switches for the little bit of extra. It's one of those things where you get tons of gain out of it, but you still hear like tremendous clarity. Wave Cannon Zero, one of the first people I met in this business was Philippe from Caroline, and I met him because in 2012 or 2013, I can't remember, I bought a custom cannonball on their website, which was the custom shop version, a little bit higher end components of their original Wave Cannon Super Distorter. I got a phone call within 5 minutes of ordering the pedal, and it was him, and we were just talking about the pedal. So I've owned every iteration of that. The one thing I love about it so much is that there's a couple things. The Cannonball has what he calls the Havoc mode, which is like self-oscillation, momentary feedback. You could tune it in with the voltage sag, which is really, really cool. As a dude who, played most of his teenage adolescence using the Boss Super Distortion feedbacker as one of my main distortions, having the Havoc, the momentary Havoc, to be able to dial in feedback, anytime you want, was clutch. Problem with that one was it really liked being first in the chain. If it wasn't first in the chain, the Havoc mode would drastically suffer. The new version, it has a first or any place up switch, so you can have it anywhere in your chain and you get the Havoc. And, oh, by the way, the Havoc could be on 100% of the time. It could be latched or momentary. And, you stop playing and it's just on. Feature set, I say this all the time. Feature set's awesome, but if the pedal doesn't sound good, then what the hell is the point? Yeah. This thing sounds amazing. It sounds like if you playing riffs with it, you play your power chords with it, you play in drop tunings with it, you could play an open G chord and the highs don't get washed out by the lows. It's super clear, super tight, plenty of gain. Those are my picks.
I like that. We're big fans of Caroline on here, so that's not one I've had my hands on, and I just added it to my list. So there we go. All right, Alan, what do you have for high gain?
Oh, okay. So me and high gain, we don't get along too much. So this is one I haven't tried, but I'm super intrigued by. Intrigued by the Collision Devices TARS Deluxe, which is more fuzzy, but it's high gain to me.
I respect that. Yeah, from what we've heard from the fuzz in the Black Hole Symmetry, I can only imagine that the TARS pulled out and having all the control is probably phenomenal.
It's awesome. We carry them, and that's a fantastic pedal.
Nice.
Yeah, I think we've tried everything but the TARS, so we've been very happy with Collision Devices. That's a good choice, so let me put that in here. My choice, and if those who have listened to the podcast probably could already guess I put this because I've been pitching this to like anyone who will listen as a new 2024 pedal. I didn't go distortion, I went fuzz, but the Keeley Octosi with the fuzz and the octave, it's a little bit of a category bender. But I have gone on a very long fuzz journey to find one that does what I want it to do in the way that I play and the way I fit it in and like wash out wall of sound stuff. And the control and the flexibility of that guy, and then the bonus of having an octave that you can flip the order of, you can flip buffered bypass, true bypass.
Nice.
It just sounds good. It does what I want it to. And even though this is not the category for it, it's very cool to be able to do the momentary dive bombs on that octave pedal with a fuzz on the other side.
Sure.
So
wrong category, Paul. Wrong.
I know. I cheated. I said I was like, I'm cheating the category. We're all doing a little.
Well, I had some moments of that myself, which we'll get into later. But I'm gonna say, since just for the purposes of the category being like highest gain, the Caroline does have a little bit more gain than the Jam, I find. So that'll be my final answer.
All right.
So we don't confuse the voters out there.
I like that. I'll put the asterisk there to remember that later. All right. So we've passed the drive section. We're going to hop into the best performance in a modulation role. So celebrating our innovations in movement and swoosh. Mike, go ahead. What do you got?
This was tough because there was a few things that came out this year. The non-human Benson Florist comes to mind. Mm-hmm. But if I had to pick one, there's a lot of reasons I'm picking it. It's the Red Panda Radius. I'm a big fan of ring mod. Nobody ever comes out with ring mods because they're not exactly something you see on every single pedal board. I have an original MF1042, Moger Foger ring mod. I have the cool Randy's Revenge from Fairfield Circuitry, which I found to be the most musical of all. The Radius does both, which is unbelievable. And you can get sort of all sorts of different types of modulation sounds, borderline like univibe, like swirly, phasey sounds out of it. You can get arpeggiated step sequencing, ring mod type sounds out of it. Kurt's a genius. That pedal is amazing. And that's my favorite. I think that deserves the achievement for best modulation pedal of 2024.
I will have to check that one out. That sounds awesome. And it's funny, we talk about ring mod as something like not a lot of people know how to use either, beyond the fact that nobody makes them. So that is one I'm adding to my list as well. This is cool because also I'm finding new things to lust after. So this is a great episode for me.
There you go.
Yeah. Alan, what do you got?
I need to get into the more of the Red Panda stuff. I get intimidated by just how much they pack into like one little pedal.
Yeah. So I'll say this, and a lot of people say this, and a lot of people tell me this about Chase Bliss stuff too. It's very plug and play, but you can spend an eternity getting all sorts of stuff out of it. The thing about pedals that I have to tell people, and I tell people all the time, is you don't have to get 18 sounds that you love out of a pedal. Like if you buy a pedal, you don't have to use it 15 different ways. I know most guitar players I know, with the exception of some that have presets, they set it and forget it.
Yeah.
Right? The reverb is set a certain way. The delay, might be as tap, or they'll change the delay time or what have you. But my jam waterfall chorus, the knobs stay in the same space the whole time. I never move them. And with the Red Panda stuff, one thing that he added with the V2s, which I found exceptionally helpful, is the preset capability. Nothing will, make you feel paid studio time pressure than setting the tempo in a Red Panda Particle V1 to match another delay you're using, so everything is in time with the click track. Yeah. So the presets and the tap make a huge difference. If you ever have any questions about that, you could always reach out. I have like almost all of them, and I love them. And not to go off on another tangent, but they just came out with a new pedal this year that is a stripped down version of the Raster, which is just like a pitch delay. That's much more simplified. So check that out too.
Checking it out right now.
That was a NAMM.
Oh, okay. Is it not on their website yet? Oh, okay. So that's coming up. That's cool. Very cool. Very cool. Paul, for me, the best modulation came out of probably, I was at the spring, but the Walrus Monumental.
You really like that one.
I do, because I love the stereo movement. So having the presets in there, having the stereo spread, it does it for me.
All right. I respect that one. It's a good choice. I on mine, I had to go between two, and I'm going to say them both just because I didn't realize one of them was actually released in 2024 because it was announced at the end of 23. My first one there was the hologram chroma console, which is obviously way more than a mod tool.
I was going to say that's a little category bendy, but
that's why I didn't say it. I just needed to mention it because the whole movement section on that pedal. So, Mike, I do a lot of film scoring as a lot of my music production, and the chroma console became just my desk buddy as soon as it came out.
Love it.
Just sitting there and being like, all right, I need to sound design something. And, when you have a ton of pedals, you almost get choice overload. The movement on that, there's really, really good mod stuff in there. But what I did choose is also a little category bendy, but the modulation in it and the way the pedal works and interacts was the Champion Lecky Skitsy. That pedal is one that as soon as I got my hands on it, it was one of those pedals I knew I was going to keep forever, just because the interaction between the sway verb and the trem verb, which is like verb with modulation, the fact that pedal can go from sounding like super, super beautiful to just incredibly seasick. It has so much packed into it. Wooly makes great stuff. And that pedal is one that I grab whenever I just want to like play and be inspired. And so I feel
we love him and we love his stuff. That Skitsy came out, I think, the same time as Unclean. I remember there was two that came out at the same time as another release where it was like they shared a day. Maybe they shared a day with two other pedals, and I was like, But that is a great one. So, quick story about the Chroma console, real quick. We do a lot with the guys from Built, and they apparently had a customer ask them to put a Chroma console in a guitar because they do a lot of effects in guitars.
Yeah,
honestly, great.
The pedal itself got the dudes from Hologram said it would just get too hot to do that. You don't want to do that. So they tested it and they're like, yeah, there's no way we can do this. Which is crazy because they put a CXM 1978
I was going to say,
in a guitar.
I just saw that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
How in the hell do they fit that into a guitar?
They're amazing. They're a true custom shop. They don't do any CNCing. They build everything by hand. They're just phenomenal.
That is crazy. I mean, imagine the Chroma console in a guitar would also be like, I mean, you lose some of the fun tapping of the like loop holder if you do it that way, like the quick loop.
You could
freeze the sound, but anyhow.
Paul, I'm on Built's website. They have like modular, like Eurorack built into one of their guitars.
Yep.
All right. Yeah, well, I'm about to go.
They're amazing. They're amazing.
Go down a little.
I've heard of them. I've seen them. I've seen some of like some bands tour with it, so I know they make great stuff. It's just wow.
Yeah. One thing I'll tell you about them, I'll tell you two things real quick and we'll go. The way I explain Built to people who don't know about them is if Fender Custom Shop Master Builders had a separate Willy Wonka wing of the factory where the two people that were there were 10 times better than everybody else and they were allowed to do whatever the hell they want, that's Built. The other thing is their guitars start at like $2,500 for a custom made guitar. Handmade.
That's actually insane. Really impressive.
Yes, 100%. One thing we're going to focus on this year is a lot more in that realm with those guys because every time I do something with them, it's crazier and crazier. The craziest thing I did with them was right before our anniversary party. I did a new El Hombre in their finish called Trout Sparkle with a Mastery Bridge vibrato, a Righteous Sound 1991 gazing set, an EGC aluminum neck, and a dirge slowly melting inside of it with Evan etching the pick guard. And I was like, this thing's going to be here for 6 years because this is such a weird thing. It was gone within 5 days. And I had two other people ask for it after it sold. So
my gosh,
I just keep doing the weirdest stuff and people keep digging it, which is super fun.
So yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's move into the category that, Alan loves the most.
I mean, they have a guitar here with a blooper and a grand orbiter in it.
Yeah, they just did one apparently where the guy asked for 8 pedals inside. Yeah.
I mean, honestly, you kind of can, you're able to take your rig really easily. You put it in a guitar case, you're good. So
yeah, they're doing right now. One of the builds we have in the queue for them is they're making me a Zaftig Bass 6 with a V1 Dark Star in it.
Oh my gosh. Okay, that's very cool. All right. So we're going to spend some time on built guitars later on. So the effects category that I think we are most known for, Alan, is next, and your favorite, my favorite, the best time-based effects in a leading role, excellence in delay and reverb, which is so many good things. Mike, what do you have here?
Well, again, this is like I have more reverbs and delays than I have anything else in my setup. But if I had to pick one pedal to me that was my favorite in that kind of realm this year, it would have to be the new Old Blood Dark Star. My old settings when the Dark Star first came out, they used to have my old settings for it in the printed manual. So like I've been Dark Star obsessed since it first came out. I'll be buried with that pedal. The way I use the old one is now completely different than the way I use the new one. The way I use the new one is like the algorithm and the voicing of the reverb itself. It sounds like you have a whole bunch of stuff on, but at the same time, it sounds like it's part of your sound. The fidelity is off the charts. I am really hard on reverbs. I hate most reverbs out there. I'm not really a big fan of spring reverbs. I don't like the sponginess and the kind of chirpiness of them. I like more of a plate room kind of sound. And this one, you know, I continue to be impressed by. Favorite thing about it is that filter knob all the way. That you can get so many different sounds out of it, and having, you know, the aux switch to do a few different things and the holding of it. It just, again, feature set is great. If it doesn't sound good, what good is it? It sounds incredible. And now, like, I didn't replace my other one because I'm using it completely differently. So I have both. We did a run of 20 of those in a custom colorway we came up with, and they sold out. Which is
gorgeous, by the way. And Paul has one.
Which, Mike, that is actually how we.
Oh, you got one? Oh, that's right. That's right.
How
nice.
we first connected.
Yes. Yep.
Well, I was going to actually say that one, so I'm going to pivot to my second choice.
You could listen. You could agree. He could be, you know, Alan could be an outlier. So here, I'll give one more thing about this real quick is that, so I put out a poll because I had a bunch of people asking me for that one after we sold out of them. It's like, should I put out a different colorway? Should I do more of those? Should I just do the stock ones? Well, you can imagine the stock ones are all really nice. Nobody said do the stock ones. And I had a handful of people wanting to do reissues of those. But when I do those custom colorways, I only like to do them like one time because I want the people who buy them to feel like they got something special.
Yeah.
So right now we are doing 10. Brady just sent me the enclosures. I have one of our visual artist friend hand painting 10, and in a very specific way that you know, it's gonna be like nothing we've done before, and a lot of my fellow nerds out there will absolutely love it when it's done. So I can't give any more information than that, but we'll have 10 hand painted ones. I'm not sure when, because I told the artist to take her time, but it's going to be pretty epic.
Well, you're going to have to
you might have to get the other Relic custom since I have the first one.
Actually, you know, our buddy Chris is a sucker for hand painted, so he's probably going to be
true.
Like camping outside your shop for release day on that.
All he has to do is ask me and he can get dibs on one. That's it. He doesn't have to camp.
Yes.
All right, Chris, there you go. You can camp though.
Well, we know he's going to listen to this at some point, so he'll know that he has a new thing to wait for.
Yeah. And Paul, I just fact checked Mike here, and yes, on the old Dark Star printed manual, he is in there. It's the only suggested setting. So
yeah, I ran that 100% wet at all times, and it's like I used to have a vintage Boss slow gear, and it kind of crapped out on me, but that's kind of how I use it for like the auto swells, and it's just like, yeah, if you listen to any band I've done since I've had that, it's all over it.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, I love it.
Nice.
All right, Alan, what's your choice in this category? Since I had the same one as Mike. So
okay, so on this one, I chose the Matthews Technician because of what Rick just jammed into a pedal. You know, delay, reverb, looper. It hints to some of the sexiness of a Chase Bliss, but it's definitely his own design. And it's pretty impressive. So that's where I landed.
I mean, yeah, that pedal, I was surprised also because it was such a drastic change in how their pedals have been. Like they kind of had those like single pedals, and then this is like a totally new thing that is I kind of came out of nowhere. I remember sending it to you on Instagram. I was like, check this out.
Yeah.
Like, what is this from Matthews?
Yeah, it's got some CXM vibes for sure with the buttons,
arcade buttons. Yeah,
nice.
Yeah, that is a good one. So yes, I also had the Dark Star honorable mention, which is category bending because I got one for the first time this year. I got one of the 10th anniversary Maris LVXs in black.
Yeah,
and Alan had been trying to sell me for like a year or so on the LVX, and I was like hesitant. And then I'm a sucker, Mike, for black pedals. So when that came out, I was like, all right, I'll take the jump. And it did not disappoint. The LVX is like a ridiculous sound machine in all ways that you could want it to be. So that's my honorable mention, since I wanted to say something different, even though Mike and I.
Well, if you want to give the folks listening the third option to pick, maybe we can, you could put that up there if you want. I'll say this: the Merit stuff is awesome. Terry's a great dude, and we will have them at the shop very soon.
Awesome,
Sick.
Good to know. All right,
we'll have to come out to that.
Yes. All right. So we've done our time-based. We're moving into best sound design in an experimental role, pedals that push the boundaries of conventional effects. This is a category I dearly love. Mike, what do you have here?
This is tough for me too, because I'm in your camp. This is like my favorite thing is like, I tell people with pedals, like there's ones that can help you with the sound you have in mind that you add to a certain part of a song. And there's ones you get that will inspire you to write new stuff. And then there's a couple that there's, ones that do both. But I have to give, even though it's maddeningly frustrating because I can never get them and I sell them out in stock as soon as I get them. And I never even got a chance to buy one. Prismatic Wall from Electronic Audio Experiments.
Mike, we're back to back putting the same pedal.
Yeah. John showed me that prototype a year before, well over a year before it came out. When he had the prototype at our anniversary party. And when he explained what it was to me, I was just like, you're creating a pedal that sounds like the inside of a piano when a truck goes by and it shakes. Like, who are you? But the dude is a total genius. And I can't wait to get more of them because I just really freaking want one. And I just, I have such a long list of customers that want them that are like, even my friends and stuff. And I'm like, I'm not going to, just pig out and get one myself. Yeah. So that's, again, for creating something completely new that's never been done before, that, he gets all the credit in the world for that. And the pedal is really remarkable. It's incredible.
Yeah, no, that one, I have actually not been able to play it. I have watched every single video anyone's made of it, and I want it so bad because it fits in with the noises I make. And so I put that on the list, even though I haven't had my hands on it yet, because I was like, that's the one last year that that's experimental. So we're back to back with the same answer. So Alan, what's your submission here?
On sound design, it's the Chroma console.
All right, that's technically the correct category for this.
They don't really need. They shouldn't have put foot switches. They should have put just buttons on it. Because
it is a desktop machine for sound design.
It looks weird on a pedal board.
Yeah, whenever I see it, it does feel like it's in the wrong place. So, all right. So I will just add an honorable mention just so we have a third one, since Mike and I both had the Prismatic Wall.
There we go.
I will put the Chase Bliss Onward, which was a very weird pedal. I enjoyed the iteration of it from the, I guess it was the Cooper Effects pedal before it was the Onward, the Outward, and the... It was one of those pedals that I spent some time with. It ultimately didn't keep in my list of I have too many pedals, but it was one of those ones where I had so much fun just plugging it in. I usually plug things in and don't read the manual till later because I want to just see what happens. And it was one of those things where I was like, I have no idea what the hell is going on with each position, but it's always a weird, fun new noise that I wasn't expecting at all. And that's pretty rare for nowadays. Like usually I've played with enough pedals that I can figure out what's happening right away and know how to make it do things. So I'll put that one as my honorable mention in that category. So we have another one in there. All right. So this one, best comeback. So celebrating the best reissue or a new version of a pedal. So this one's a little bit strange. Mike, what do you have here?
Let me first start by saying this is a pedal that I own that I'll be buried with. And when this came out this year, I got to play it at the Baltimore Pedal Expo, I wanted to give Dave Gill a huge hug from BSRI because the Wikipedia list of unusual articles, which is essentially a Boss VB2, slightly different components, and he changed. It has a separate switch for momentary. But if you guys are looking, if you like but don't love chorus, you're looking for a little bit of something extra just to add a little bit more of three-dimensional bend to your sound, or just a little bit more sparkle, or like, what is that? I've used the Boss vibrato pedal for I can't even tell you how long. It's one of those ones that you just think is part of the clean guitar sound. It just adds the perfect little something, but it uses the ACA power and it became kind of annoying to do that in my pedal board builds. So I've literally been without it. And I bought the Wazacraft one too. And honestly, it's close, but the Wikipedia is the closest thing. That was, in fact, like what I picked for our pedal of the year this year at Relic, because it made such an impact to my personal playing. And we did, I think, 10 or 13 hand painted by my good friend and visual artist, Justin Hawk. They all sold out really quick, but now we have a couple of the production model ones. And it's just, again, unbelievable. Fidelity is off the charts. Just really, really great.
That is a very cool review. That is one I'd actually not come across. I've come across quite a few of the BSRI ones. That's not one that I've come across before.
Well, he told us we're the only dealer that's going to sell them, so that's
amazing.
Pretty awesome.
Yeah,
and what a great name too.
He's the best for that. I just love that dude.
Yeah, like what we don't know about the ocean floor for the court. Those are just like the best names of pedals.
The Resurrect Dead on Planet Jupiter. That was my favorite phaser that came out last year in 2023.
Nice. I want to try the soft rains and the smell of the ground reverb.
Yeah, that's another one we did. We did 10 hand painted ones. With Justin. Justin uses a mixed media approach of like vintage pages from vintage French books and epoxy and paints and all sorts of crazy stuff. Yeah, pretty awesome.
That's cool.
All right, Alan, what do you have in this category?
So for me, I'm actually it's boring, but I love it. The Keeley Germanium Blues Disorder.
Oh, that is a good choice. That is a very.
I haven't heard that one.
So I mean, they did it for, I guess, their whatever anniversary they had. It was actually it was Edmunds Music had, I think, their 50th anniversary. So Keeley made like a batch of 50 that were gold and had a germanium inside of it, and then put it into quote unquote normal run in just black, but only available through Edmunds Music. But it's their basic Blues Disorder, but it's got germanium diodes in it.
Awesome.
And I love germanium.
Yeah, that one I have not. That's one of those ones, Alan, that I have not got my hands on from you because you got it and I never got to see it.
I'm not letting you try it.
So yeah, that's just what happened. So I am going to do a thing where there's a second category nomination for me, and we already talked about this pedal, but the Dark Star V3. The Dark Star was
love it.
That counts.
It fit here.
Absolutely.
It fit here for me. I was instantly like, Mike, when I got that pedal in from you guys, first off, that colorway with the purple and the gold, it's beautiful. It stands out. It's beautiful. And it's one of those pedals.
It is the best colorway that's ever been released on the V3, you know?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And as soon as I had it in my hands, and I, like you, I'm very critical of reverbs because I've tried every single one of them. I have more reverb and delay than I ever need. If I look at my closet of boxes, I feel like a glutton when I look at that. And I plugged that one in and I spent like an hour and a half just finding new ideas and new sounds. I remember sending Alan clips. I was just recording, sitting at my DAW, just hitting things. I was like, this is a cool idea. I'm going to send it to Alan. This is a cool idea. I'm going to send it. And it just kept being fun to play with, and it has not stopped. I love also messing with the hold switch and changing what it does on the aux switch there. It's just a great pedal. So that's my best.
How about that filter knob is just something else.
The filter knob, I remember the first thing I sent Alan is I had the filter to the left, so getting a little darker.
Yep.
And just this beautiful decay sound where it basically, as I finger picked, created a pad behind it.
Yeah. Can I ask you this? Have you done it yet where you have done a hold where you do, like, you get a pad going and you have an expression pedal plugged in to assign to the filter knob and have that rock back and forth and just sweep between the.
I have not done that yet, but that needs to happen
heavenly.
Immediately.
Yeah, heavenly.
Yeah, that sounds divine.
Yep.
So yeah, that's my one in this category, a 2-category nomination. We're doing a little Oppenheimer sweep here, like.
Love it.
All right, so we are on to we got 2 categories left, and we're going to go a little faster because we're getting up against time here. So, Lifetime Achievement Award. So Mike, we typically ask guests 3 questions. And one of them is usually like, what's your favorite current pedal? So I'm going to fit this one in here a little differently. I was like, what's your favorite pedal of all time? You've mentioned a few you're going to be buried with. So what's your one that you're putting here?
Well, the one that really got me started on my bullshit, I guess you could say, is when I was a kid and heard Vintage Memory Man self-oscillate for the first time. That was it for me. So I have a handful, and people have asked me this a bunch, and sometimes it changes. But like for me, I think the Mr. Black Supermoon Chrome is probably, he deserves a Lifetime Achievement Award for that pedal, because that was one of the first pedals, that and the Eterna, where the actual reverb algorithm itself sounded like something I'd want to use.
Okay.
Those are amazing. The Asheville Music Tools ADG1, if you could find a special edition, great. If not, the regular one is incredible. Asheville Music Tools is Hawker from Moog. He did all the Moger designs, and he's doing his own thing. I had a Moog MF104Z on my pedal board for probably over 10 years, and it was a pedal I would never remove. This is the best sounding analog delay pedal. We had a big band come in, and I'm not going to say who they were because I don't kiss and tell. But like they were asking, "Oh, what's new in pedals, this and that?" And I was like, "Oh, have you guys? What do you have for analog delay?" And they're like, "Oh, we all have carbon copies. We're good." I'm like, "Oh, geez, whatever, fine." The tech was like, "Oh, I'll try it." Their road tech plugged it in. I set him up. All of them, 5 of them bought this pedal. So that, the Dirge Slowly Melting, I will always have one of those on my board. And I guess the last one I'll say, because we talked about some of the other ones, is the Platesk Etterslep, which I have barely turned that pedal off since I got it. It does like the whole, I don't know what this dude does to these things, but I have the Backlings, I have the Draume, I have the Fabricat, I have most of his stuff. The Etterslep is just, if Paul, as a guy that, likes a closet full of reverbs and kind of ambient stuff, if you can find one of these, buy it immediately and you won't be sorry. It's incredible.
Good to know. And my list is growing as we speak. This is wonderful. Alan, what's your Lifetime Achievement guy?
Well, did you know that this was going to be an episode that's going to cost us money?
I didn't know that,
a lot
but
of
I'm
money.
Definitely already in it. So
it's all right.
I'm literally opening reverb windows as we talk. I'm adding to my want to try.
The Etterslep's tough because he will do drops and they sell out. Like, I was lucky. My girlfriend bought it for me for Christmas last year. She had 3 computer windows open to try to get it, because he's just one dude and he'll release like 5 to the United States, and the time difference and everything else. But on secondary market, they go for like almost twice as much as what they cost sometimes because of that. Matter of fact, a good friend of mine had one, and she knew how much I loved it. She brought it in the shop to trade, and I was like really excited. I was like, I'm going to get a second one. And she's like, how do you use it? And I plugged it in. I turned some knobs. She's like, yeah, I'm keeping it. I was like, God damn
it. That's awesome.
Great.
That is fantastic. All right, Alan, you're up. Lifetime Achievement.
Okay. So I'm going to actually put in here it's 2 pedals, hopefully about to be a third, but it's more because of the user interface. And
I already know what you're going to say.
I know you do. Shut up. Mike, you've talked about some effects that have come out that really harken back to some of those vintage pieces and really capture that tone very well. And I think that's really hard to do. For me, having a time-based effect that I continually can find something new and creative to do, and quite literally to the infiniteness of my brain, say to myself, hey, I wonder let me just add a filter here or add some modulation here and be able to create my own sounds. My award has to go to Maris for their LVX and for their Mercury X. To me, that I never reuse the same patch. I'm always creating something new, and it just excites me every time I turn those on.
I love that.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say that. I could have probably filled in your blanks on my notes I'm taking here before we even talked. So, all right, mine's real basic, and it's just my own personal thing. And it's just a pedal. I've actually tried several times to break up with this pedal, and I always buy it back. I'm actually on my 4th go round.
Gosh.
I'm just going with the Strymon Timeline. As a guy who plays with a lot of delay, it partially is my own like comfort blanket in that I've made so many presets for it over the years that I can just sit down and make a sound that I want. If someone asks me, hey, how do I get this? I can get a sound out of it. I know how it works backwards and forwards. And I really thought the LVX was going to finally be my like breakup with it, but I still find it's like a comfort blanket. It's my little blankie I take places. My timeline gets it done. I put it on my pedal board. It does exactly what I ask it to do. And so I'm just going to do the tried and true Strymon timeline for me.
We should get built to make a pedal or a guitar with the timeline in there for you.
That would be actually great. I would really thrive with that. So we'll consider that.
They could easily do it.
Yeah, it sounds like it. So, all right, I feel like mine was boring compared to the list you guys had, and Alan's big explanation for the Marises. But all right, last category, and then we're gonna wrap up because we're gonna be Frank. We're gonna be really quick with everyone's time here.
His name is Mike. It's not Frank.
It's your fault, Alan. But anyhow, all right. So this is, and this could be something we already mentioned. This could be something that so best picture in the Oscars is usually just this is the one that feels the best overall. It was great. It felt good. So pedal of the year for each of us. Mike, what are you saying here?
It is not something I've mentioned yet, but it's something one of you mentioned, and for me, it's the Chase Bliss Onward. I used the freeze on my pedal board for the longest time. When I had the old DD5 from Boss, I used to use that hold feature all the time. This has both sides of that. You could use them at the same time. You can use them independently. The Onward works. It's like a freeze on tons of steroids where you can actually have it set to where you can either just freeze the note and play over it, or it will just freeze each note you play and replace it with the latest note. So like you can play a chord, it'll keep that going until you play another chord or note, and then it'll do that one, and it'll do that one. I will say, Paul, to your point, it takes a little while. It takes a little bit of time to dial in, but I will promise you, it's one of those things where once it unlocks, you got to get that one dip switch down in the back, the latch dip switch. You do that, and it's like you're off to the races. Chase Bliss Onward, my 2024 pedal of the year.
Love that choice.
That's great.
All right.
Yeah, that's definitely, yeah.
Alan, what do you have?
For me, it's the Discomfort Designs Phantom Limb. It is, and I'm picking it for two reasons. One, because I generally dislike mono time-based effects, but this one sounds so big and so full, even in mono, even as
Did that come out this year, or are you just cheating the system here?
No, I'm not cheating. It came out like in September.
Okay.
You can fact check me, and then I will be wrong, and I'll be disqualified.
That's fine. I feel like it came out before, but also, as I said at the beginning of the episode, 2025 has already been 6 years long, so maybe I don't remember.
Yeah. That's a whole other podcast.
Yeah, well, we had a great talk with Nick from Wonder Effects, where we got into we released an episode, Mike, called The Great American Disappointment, about his new pedal, the Wet Hot American Bummer, the day after the election. And we got some very interesting dialogue in the chat, because we didn't intend on doing that, but it worked out that it made a lot of sense. So I was like, let's just roll with it, you know?
I kept calling the pedal The Great American Disappointment, and again, it just completely by happenstance that it was that episode came out around the election, and Paul and I decided to call it that regardless of the winner. So
it worked out, but we'll have a whole nother episode if we want to talk about that, about other things. But all right, my choice for this, and I went back and forth between two I already mentioned, because I was like, there's so many pedals I could put here. I'm going to go with the Chroma Console, and strictly for me, the Chroma Console
Are you reusing? Because you already mentioned that.
I know, but I'm putting it in my best. I'm still going in my best. I guess
when you make the rules.
Have you ever watched the Oscars and seen how movies win multiple categories?
Usually, if you win Best Director, you win Best Picture. Usually, that's how it goes, right?
Yes. Yep.
I don't know.
It usually does. So I'm putting in here, though, for me, I'll just talk about like the use case of why it fit this way for me. So I finished up a film that I've been working on with friends for a couple years, and in putting together the score in the studio, I have so many pedals I can choose from: fuzzes, drives, things that I love to make a synthesizer sound insane. And we had a few technical issues the first time we tracked, so I had to retrack a bunch of stuff. And the second time I went into the studio, I took solely the Chroma Console. I set it on top of a Prophet, and I just had the Chroma console and the Prophet. And that ended up being 98% of the score was able to be sound designed in that way, where it sounded different just with those two things, a Chroma console on top of a Prophet. And that to me just made it, I was like, wow, this pedal just replaced me carrying a pedal board to the studio when I have to do things like this. So that for me was a big win.
Which Prophet?
It is the 8-voice Rev 2.
Nice. I got my brother for his 40th birthday a Prophet 5. It's awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, that is one of those synthesizers that sounds like nothing else, and it's hard to. You just really can't recreate it.
The synth episode should be something different. I could fill up a little bit of time with that.
Well, all right. I feel like Mike's going to be back. Mike's going to be back. All right. I'm going to wrap things up here. Mike, I'm going to ask you we've already kind of hit one question. The one question I'm going to ask out of that, there are two questions I was asked about. One, what was your first ever guitar pedal? First one ever that got you into the love of the game?
Oh boy. I think it was honestly a DD5. I think that was my first one. Yep.
That is an incredible choice. I also love the DD5. In one of our delay episodes, I talked about that for a while. And then here's the one, the other rapid fire question. Who inspires you to try new gear? Now, you're in the business, but is there anyone, an artist, a friend, someone that inspires you?
I mean, it's going to sound really stupid for me to say this, but I was writing music before I had a shop. So there's a few bands that still kind of get me out of bed in the morning, I guess, that inspire me. Like, I haven't turned the new Mogwai off. I've been listening to that record nonstop. Mm. It's so good. But honestly, I just like writing music and exploring new sounds and the people I play with, honestly. And I love, the thing I love about pedals so much is just how different people have different wheelhouses. Like my cousin, who is an incredible guitar player, does a ton of stuff in Chicago. He's incredible with pitch-based effects. Me, I use my count to 5, but that's like a delay in pitch effect. But the way he does pitch and filter stuff is something I could never wrap my head around. And then, you have people that are, they can get such crazy stuff out of different fuzzes. And it's just, I look at them like ecosystems where, different people evolve, different species evolve differently in different ecosystems.
Yeah.
And, it's really, it's the builders that make them. It's fucking hard to make a guitar pedal, to make an original guitar pedal. That's not an easy thing to do. You know what I mean? So somebody comes up with something new, use an extreme example, prismatic wall, me loving this stuff as much as I do, I owe it to them to listen,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's fantastic answer. All right. Well, I know we're going to have more episodes with Mike just because I want to keep talking, but we have to wrap it up. So Mike, is there anything special coming? I know you have a sale right now. So anything you want to plug, anything you want to pitch for the shop, yourself personally, anything before we wrap up here?
Yeah, really quickly. The sale is really I bought so much crap at NAMM and I have so many new brands coming and so much stuff that I ordered a year ago is coming in. I just want to make a little bit of room. So it's not something we typically do a lot, but take advantage of it. But we do shows at the shop. The next show we're going to have will be April. Let's see. Let me look at the date of that. I believe it's going to be April 12th, and we're excited. It's going to be Courtney Swain from Bent Knee with Martin Houth, who she does this incredible vocal processing and looping as well. And Andy Pitcher will also be playing. I try to do one show a month free so that people can have a place to go and hang out. I am in a new band that just recorded called Probability Cloud. Right now, Adam at Timber Studios is mixing our record. We tracked it with him, and that was an amazing experience. Not sure when that's coming out, but really just come visit, come say hi. If anybody has any questions, we do custom pedal board builds. I do that. If it's a day that ends in a Y, you could probably find me doing a pedal board build for somebody at the shop. So,
that's fantastic.
It's, we love doing it. It's therapy for me. So anything we could do to help anybody, if anybody has any questions, anybody has a sound in their head they can't get out, we're here to help.
Awesome. All right. Well, we're going to link to a bunch of that stuff, Mike, and I'm going to keep an eye out for when your album drops with Probability Cloud. That sounds awesome.
Yeah. And if I could say one more thing real quick, I want to plug my guys I have working for me are incredible. Matt, his band Plasterhead just recorded. They played their first show at the shop. They're incredible. If you like really angular math rock stuff, different times, 3-piece.
Speaking my love.
Phenomenal. And then my buddy Rocky, all his bands, Mercy Union and Best Dressed Ghost and all that stuff. Check all that stuff out too.
Awesome.
All right. More stuff
Thank you
to
so
link
much.
to.
Yeah.
No, Mike, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Thanks for your time. Thanks for your wealth of knowledge, both continually on your channel and the shop, but also this was one of my favorite episodes we've done in a while because we've been off of it. And I've been looking forward to doing this ever since we first connected because I was like, oh man, he's like fellow traveler. I feel like we're gonna like really get into pedals.
Thanks, guys. And I hope I didn't ramble too much. I tend to do that. And if there's anything I can do for either one of you personally, please don't hesitate to reach out.
Totally appreciate it, man. Well, we will talk soon. And have a good one.
Thanks, guys.
Peace.
All right.
Bye.